Leo was a smart boy, curious, and loved learning. But there was one thing he struggled with: learning English. He tried and tried, but he often felt frustrated. Leo studied lists of English words every night. He read them, repeated them, and thought he was learning them well. But 3 days later, he forgot most of the words. One day, Leo told his friend Jake about his problem. "Why is English so hard for me?" Leo asked, sighing deeply. Jake shrugged and said, "Maybe English is not for you, Leo. Maybe you're just not smart enough to learn it. English is difficult, and not everyone can do it. Why don't you give up?" Leo felt even more discouraged. Maybe Jake was right. Maybe he wasn't clever enough to learn English. The next day, Leo went to school feeling sad and unmotivated. His English teacher, Mr. Thomas, noticed Leo's sadness and asked, "Leo, what's wrong?" Leo explained his frustration with English. He told Mr. Thomas about his struggle with memorizing words. "I study and study," he said, "but then I forget everything. Maybe I'm just not smart enough." Mr. Thomas listened carefully and nodded. "Leo," he said kindly, "I understand your frustration, but maybe you're learning in the wrong way. Memorizing long lists of words is difficult for everyone. English is not about lists. It's about practice and connection." Leo looked at him, curious. "What do you mean?" Mr. Thomas smiled. "Learning English should be like learning a story, not like learning math. Words have meaning and sound. You need to use English, not just memorize it. I have some advice for you." Leo listened eagerly. "First," Mr. Thomas said, "try reading simple stories in English. Stories help you remember words because they have meaning. You don't just learn a word, you learn why that word is important." Leo nodded. "So, stories make words easier to remember?" "Yes," said Mr. Thomas. "Stories are fun and help you learn. Try reading a short story every day. And here's another tip. Listen to the story too. When you hear the words, they stay in your mind longer. Listen carefully, and then try repeating the words after the speaker. This practice helps your pronunciation." Leo's eyes brightened. "So I should listen and then repeat?" "Exactly," Mr. Thomas said. "Repeating helps you feel the language. Try saying the words like the speaker. Pronunciation becomes easier when you copy the sounds." Leo felt hope for the first time. He decided to start right away. That evening, Leo found a simple English story online. He read it, then listened to it. He repeated every sentence, feeling the sounds in his mouth. It was hard at first, but soon he felt more comfortable. He repeated again and again until the words sounded natural. The next day, Leo went to Mr. Thomas and smiled. "It was fun. I feel like I learned more than just a list of words." Mr. Thomas nodded proudly. "Good job, Leo. Now here's one more tip. After you listen and repeat, try writing the story by hand. Writing the words helps you remember them better. When you write, you think about the letters, the sounds, and the meaning. It connects everything together." Leo tried this new method too. He listened to the story again and wrote down each sentence in his notebook. He felt a deeper connection to the words. They didn't feel like strangers anymore. They felt like friends he was getting to know. Days passed, and Leo felt more confident. He could remember the words he learned. He didn't feel frustrated. Each day, he read, listened, repeated, and wrote. Learning English became a daily adventure. One day, he met Jake again. Jake was surprised to see Leo studying happily. "Are you still trying to learn English?" Jake asked, smirking. "I thought you gave up." Leo smiled and said, "I found a new way to learn, Jake. I don't memorize lists anymore. I read stories, I listen, and I write. Now English feels easy and fun." Jake shrugged, looking unconvinced. "Well, maybe it works for you, but I still think English is too hard." Leo replied kindly, "Sometimes things feel hard because we're doing them in the wrong way. But I'm learning that with the right way, anything is possible." Jake didn't say much after that. He didn't understand, but that was okay. Leo knew he was on the right path. Months passed, and Leo's English improved every day. He could read, listen, and even speak with confidence. One day, there was an English speaking contest at school. Leo entered the contest and told a simple story he had practiced. He spoke clearly, with confidence, and he won the contest. Everyone clapped, including Mr. Thomas. After the contest, Leo found Mr. Thomas and thanked him. "Your advice changed everything, Mr. Thomas. Now, I know that learning isn't about memorizing. It's about understanding, feeling, and connecting." Mr. Thomas smiled proudly. "You found the key to learning, Leo. Remember, it's not just about English. With any challenge, finding the right way is the secret, and you found yours." From that day on, Leo continued to improve. He learned more and more English every week, reading stories, listening, repeating, and writing. He knew he could learn anything if he tried the right way. And what about Jake? Well, Jake saw Leo's success and began to feel a little curious. Maybe he could learn too if he tried. One day he asked Leo, "Could you teach me your way?" Leo smiled and replied, "Of course, Jake. Learning is better when we do it together." The moral of the story is, never give up when learning feels hard. Sometimes the right method makes all the difference. Believe in yourself and try again. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, make sure you don't miss our next video. We have an exciting and engaging topic lined up to help you practice your listening skills. Click here to watch it and keep improving your English.